Hello, everybody. I'm really sorry that I'm not able to be there with all of you. I was really looking forward to it. It would have been great to be part of the conversation and being able to have some personal connection, but I just couldn't manage it with the time. I know you had a welcome to country earlier today, but I just do want to acknowledge country and the Gumbaynggirr people whose land that I'm on, and just recognise First Nations people across the Zoom connection and also at CSU that are bringing us together today. I've been asked to talk about the Neighbourhood Care Network, and so I'll just dive in and give me a ring if I'm running out of time. So we're based in the Bellingen Shire on the north coast. Our area is sort of wedged between Coffs Harbour and Nambucca. Our shire is 1,400 square kilometres. You can see on the screen around 13,000 people, 6,000 odd dwellings. And the geography of our shire is very interesting because we go from the coast at Urunga through a long valley and then up to the plateau. And as a small shire, so we face a number of geographical challenges which often translate into different types of hazards and disasters. And because we don't have a very big town centre in our shire, we struggle with access to services. So we have three main sites, Urunga, Bellingen and Dorrigo, numerous hamlets and villages. But Coffs Harbour, which is a bit of a trek down the road, is our main service centre. So a bit about what we do. I'm going to tell our story in a minute, but where we are now is that we're a for-purpose, non-government, small grassroots organisation that's about creating the infrastructure and holding it lightly for neighbours to help neighbours during and between emergencies. We have two core components to that vision. One is the support to establish small local groups of neighbours that are supported by volunteer coordinators. And the focus for the neighbours is to work together around how they're going to communicate during emergencies, how they're going to get access to timely, reliable information, who will need extra help and how they're going to do that, and to support those sorts of connections through, the development of social capital. We know also supports recovery efforts. And then the other side of what we do is that we have an SMS alert system that sends out alerts to our members about emerging situations and hazards. So that's the basis of who we are and what we do. We came together out of fear, to be honest. We were surrounded by fire, our shire, during the beginning of the 2019 fires. That was a pretty scary period. And the thing that actually tipped us into being was that we were told during the week when our whole valley was seriously under threat that if the weather did go the way that they thought it would, Coffs Harbour would also be really seriously under threat. And we needed to understand we wouldn't be able to get any more emergency resources deployed to our shire other than the 7 RFS trucks that were already in our valley. And that's because the fires were so extensive, as we know, that all of the emergency resources available would have been deployed to the nearest big population centre, which was Coffs Harbour. So for many people, including me, that was a huge wake-up call, and that made us understand that we needed to do a lot more as a community to get ready to support ourselves when the chips are really down. And it wasn't very long, I think that week happened in November, and then we started to see COVID unfolding. And a group of us, active local community residents realised that we would be in a similar situation if COVID really hit our shire in terms of access to medical resources and support. And so we decided that we needed to self-mobilise to set up ways that people could be connected and help each other as the pandemic started to unfold. We went to council and said, don't want to cut across anything that you're doing, but hey, we really think that this is pandemic things looking like it could be big, and we need to reach out to the community to see what we can do to get ready for that. And they said, come on in. So what you're seeing on the screen is a couple of, you know, really serious threats, a bunch of people like me who, you know, had the wind up them a bit, but also who had some skills and capabilities across that group, a council who welcomed us in, which was really important, and that then led to local action. So moving on to where we are today, this is a sort of high-level slide that shows you our footprint. Our members, 90% of our members are in the Bellingen Shire, but they are spread from Arrawarra, which is north of Woolgoolga, down to Stewart's Point, which is south of Scott's Head, and inland as far as Ebor, for people who might know the North Coast geography. We, in February, hit 1,472 members. We have 22 local neighbourhood groups set up across the Shire, which is 14% of the Shire's habitable land. And of those 1,472 people who've joined us, 307 said they only wanted to get the Bush Telegraph texts. They didn't want to be part of their local group. So what that's telling you is that most people wanted to be part of their local neighbourhood group. If you've got a good head for maths, you'll see if we've only got 22 groups, and they're pretty small groups, you know, 20 households would be an average, there are a lot of people who aren't yet part of local groups because we're relying on local residents to put up their hand to volunteer to bring that group together. So I'm very interested in the discussion that we've just started to have about fatigue and you know, cascading disasters and what that does to people's capacity to be able to step up in these sorts of situations. So to give you a quick squiz, I'm not sure how easy it is for you to see this slide, but this is an aerial view of the Bellingen town, which is the biggest town in our Shire, and then these funny different coloured shapes are parts of Bellingen town that have local neighbourhood groups in place. We're currently working on the southern part of town because there's a very big bushfire risk, as you can see, around the southern part of the town, and this is the closest rural group. That gives 2 minutes to go, so I'll whiz through this. They're the groups that are currently in the valley. The Bush Telegraph sent, I won't read this through, but you can see a huge number of SMS messages. We're also in the process of hybriding to an app, a signal app, so that people don't, that'll reduce our costs. We only use official information, but as a result of the various inquiries into the floods and fires, we're currently rolling out verified local intelligence as a way to get that information out to people when it may not be coming quickly enough from official sources. I'll whiz through just the last few slides to give you a sense of activities, and I do just want to mention the link to business. This is an example of something we threw out on social media at the very beginning of COVID as a bunch of local volunteers, and that then harnessed about 660 registrations in 3 weeks. But we also were working closely with the local Chamber of Commerce, and in the registration process asked people if they ran a business in the Shire, and then were able to pass that information on to the Chamber of Commerce, who had a sister approach of reaching out to the businesses, and they knew some of the businesses who were their members, but a lot of sole traders and other business owners weren't members, and this was a way of getting that information to the Chamber quickly to provide additional support and bring businesses together. We also worked closely with that business support network, which is what the group that then formed as a result of the process I just discussed in the beginning of COVID, to be able to link up with local shops and retailers, and our volunteers then delivered food and goods for people who were self-isolating or vulnerable. That's just an example of more social media to call up new members. And then when we did this again, when Omicron hit, and you can see from the dense text on this slide, we were much more organised. And these are the participating businesses across the Shire, the three main areas, who we worked with to be able to provide a free home delivery service. And we had a big push around shop local right through this period, because we were really terrified that we would lose a lot of the local businesses that we had. We had sponsorship from an SMS company for about 18 months for the alerts, and then we lost that. They couldn't keep doing it. So we had to fundraise for the community to fund the alerts, and within a month we'd raised $20,000, which provided the sort of capital for us to continue to send out SMS alerts when we need to. That we've done Shire-wide mail-outs calling for new members. Our focus now is on disaster preparedness, thanks to some funding that we're very grateful to have received from the Primary Health Network. We have diversified and now also organised with the ES and RFS very local, very targeted disaster preparedness sessions where we provide a lot of local information for groups of people so they understand their risk and then support them to do their planning and hopefully sign up with us and join their local neighbourhood group. And I think that's about it.